The 13th day of the 4th moon, 56 AC. Balerion the Black Dread descended over King's Landing, the largest dragon alive, a creature so old he had carried Aegon the Conqueror himself. Something was wrong. The girl on his back was barely alive. She had been gone for more than a year. Her eyes were bleeding. Her body was burning from inside. Something moved beneath her skin. She managed to speak before she lost consciousness. She died before sunset. Septon Barth sat beside her in those final hours. He recorded everything he witnessed in private papers, found a century after his death. The creatures that emerged from her body, the sounds they made, the smell of cold water. He chose not to record what she said. He prayed to God he would soon forget it. She was born in 42 AC at Casterly Rock, where her parents had gone to hide. Her father was Prince Aegon, son of King Aenys I, heir to the Iron Throne. Her mother was Princess Rhaena, his sister and his wife, as was the Targaryen custom. The faith militant had risen against the Targaryens, calling their marriages an abomination, and so Rhaena had carried her twin daughters into exile, into borrowed walls, into the protection of strangers. The twins were born into a world that had already decided their value. The court did not treat them as children. It treated them as instruments. When Aerea was barely a year old, her father died. Maegor the Cruel, her own uncle, killed him in the air above the God's Eye, dragon against dragon, and threw his body into the river. Maegor took the throne. Then he found the twins. He declared Aerea his heir, not because he loved her, but because she was useful. A king without sons names a niece his successor, and the succession holds only as long as the king needs it to. She was 1 year old when she became a political instrument. She would remain one for the rest of her short life. What kind of instrument, and whose, the court had not yet understood. That comes later, from an unexpected quarter, and it would change everything the court believed about which girl it was actually dealing with. When Maegor finally died, found alone on the Iron Throne, the blades of the seat having opened his wrists, Jaehaerys took the crown. Both girls, Aerea and Rhaella, travelled to Old Town for the coronation. What came out of Old Town confounded the court. The girl who had travelled there as Aerea was shy, fearful, and frightened of dragons. She returned bold, quick-witted, finding her way to the stables within days, at ease in spaces the old Aerea had never been. Rhaella, who had been the bold one in Old Town, came back to the Starry Sept quiet, withdrawn, devoted to the faith. The personalities had reversed completely. Archmaester Gildane, in his History of House Targaryen, records that it was widely believed someone had used the twins' brief time together in Old Town to switch them permanently, so that Rhaella could escape the life of a royal hostage and enter the faith, while Aerea could return to King's Landing. No one was inclined to investigate. The girl called Aerea had fire in her. That was enough. Lord Rhaegar Baratheon, who wanted to crown her queen and use her against Jaehaerys, said she had the right spirit for a ruler. He was right about her spirit. The question that no one would ask until far too late was which girl was actually wearing which name, and what she knew about herself that the court did not. Jaehaerys gave the girl called Aerea what she wanted. He brought her back to court. For 2 years, she was the happiest she had ever been, or would ever be. The Red Keep, singers and fools, lords and knights. She spent her days in the stables near the King's Gate, working alongside the grooms, and called it the best time of her life. Then Lord Rhaegar Baratheon tried to use her as a weapon against Jaehaerys, and everything changed. His men came to her chambers in the night. She was already gone. The Queen Regent had hidden her, disguised her, sent her back to the stables with her hair dyed brown. The plot failed, but it ended her time at court. Jaehaerys sent her to Dragonstone with Rhaena. Dragonstone was cold, isolated, and populated by women who had no interest in a 12-year-old girl. Rhaena, the mother she barely knew, gave her no warmth and no dragon egg. "She never gave me an egg," Aerea told Queen Alysanne. "She just gave me away and flew off to Fair Isle." She had begged Alysanne to take her back to King's Landing. Alysanne had tried. Rhaena had refused. "You have everything and I have nothing," Rhaena told the Queen. "Now you would take my daughter too." There was one person at Dragonstone who made the island bearable. Her name was Alyssa Farman. What no one realized was that when Alyssa left, she would take with her the last reason Aerea had to stay. Alyssa Farman was Rhaena's companion, one of the women Rhaena kept close on Dragonstone. She spoke of sailing the wide western seas, of adventure beyond the horizon. To a girl who had been given nothing, she was everything. In 54 AC, Alyssa left. She had argued with Rhaena. She boarded a ship and sailed east, eventually stealing 3 dragon eggs from Dragonstone to fund her passage. She refused to take Aerea with her. "Take me with you," Aerea told her. "Let me sail the seas, see the world." Alyssa said no. Then Andro Farman, Rhaena's husband, quietly mad with jealousy, poisoned Rhaena's remaining companions. One by one. When Alysanne came to Dragonstone to comfort them, Aerea did not weep. "Why should I care if they are all dead?" she said. "She will find new ones. She always does." That same year, Alysanne gave birth to Princess Daenerys. Aerea was no longer heir to the Iron Throne. She had lost her position, her only friend, and any reason to stay. In late 54 AC, she walked into the Dragon Yard at Dragonstone and claimed Balerion the Black Dread. She was 13 years old. She had no destination in mind. The text implies Balerion did not go where Aerea intended. What she chose was only to leave. The common reading was wrong. Barth concluded this himself, before anyone else understood what the right reading might be. The common interpretation of Aerea Targaryen is that she chose Valyria, that a girl climbed on a dragon, pointed him east, and flew to the ruin of her ancestors. But the text tells a different story, and the truth is, Balerion had been old enough and willful enough to make his own choices for decades before Aerea was born. Balerion had been born in Valyria before the Doom, the only living creature in the world that had known that civilization before a single catastrophic day reduced it to ash and ruin, 40 years before Aerea's birth. He had carried Aegon the Conqueror himself across the entirety of Westeros. He had outlived 6 kings. When Maegor died, Balerion returned to Dragonstone and stayed there, unclaimed for years. He was ancient beyond reckoning. When Aerea climbed on his back, she could not bend him to her will. She was too young, too inexperienced, and Balerion too old and too willful to be directed by a frightened girl trying to fly home. Rhaena assumed Aerea had flown to King's Landing. Aerea never arrived. Ravens went to every lord in the 7 kingdoms. Rhaego Draz, Master of Coin, tasked agents across the narrow sea with finding them. Nothing useful came back, no sighting anywhere in the known world. Barth said it plainly to the small council. If Balerion had thrown her, he would have returned to his lair. He had not. The dragon had chosen the destination. Aerea had not. Where he had taken her, no one would learn for more than a year. They were gone for more than a year. On the 13th day of the 4th moon, 56 AC, Balerion descended into the courtyard of the Red Keep. Sir Lucamore Strong of the Kingsguard carried Aerea inside. He reported afterward that her fever was so intense he could feel it through his armor. Her eyes were bloody. Something was moving inside her. Jaehaerys silenced him before he could say more. Grand Maester Benifer treated her. Septon Barth administered last rites. The king and queen waited outside Benifer's door. Only Benifer and Barth saw what followed. Fire and Blood records that Barth immersed her in a tub of ice to reduce the fever. The fever did not reduce, but the cold drew out what was inside her. In private papers found a century after his death, Barth described what emerged: creatures of heat and fire, dying in the cold, worms with faces, snakes with hands, twisting, slimy things that made sounds not unlike the sounds of men. The largest was as long as his arm. Her flesh had darkened until it resembled, in his words, pork cracklings. She was cooking from inside. She arrived in the morning. She died before sunset. The official announcement said the princess had died of a fever. Barth wrote that this was broadly true, though it does not begin to encompass the whole truth. What she had carried back from Valyria, and what it implied about what still lived there, he would spend the next decade trying to understand. The text gives us two possible readings of what was inside Aerea Targaryen. The first names them Firewyrms, subterranean creatures of the Valyrian tunnels, believed to have incinerated enslaved miners in the passages beneath the 14 flames. Septon Barth offers this reading himself. Barth's own hedge undermines this reading, however, because his phrase is, "if that is what they were," a conditional, not a statement. The text contradicts the natural creature reading on the physical evidence alone. Firewyrms have no faces, no hands, no voices that sound like men. The second reading takes the physical description Barth actually recorded as evidence. Archmaester Gildain records that the Valyrians twisted the flesh of beasts and men to fashion monstrous chimeras, because Fire and Blood is explicit on this point. These experiments did not die in the Doom. Whatever survived in the ruins, whatever Balerion flew into, whatever gave him that 9-foot wound, was not a natural creature. It was something made. GRRM stated in 2024 that Septon Barth got much of it right regarding the true nature of dragons and their connection to Valyrian blood magic. The stronger reading is the chimera interpretation, and the evidence for it comes directly from Barth's careful language, the physical details he recorded, and what Gildain acknowledges about Valyrian practice. The Doom did not end Valyria's horrors. It released them. Balerion did not return unharmed. He bore a wound down his left side, almost 9 feet long, a gaping rent still dripping blood that smoked where it struck the courtyard stone. The wound was fresh, but it also showed earlier stages of healing, meaning Balerion had been injured more than once in Valyria, over a period long enough for the first wounds to begin closing before new ones were inflicted. Something in the ruins attacked the largest dragon alive, and kept attacking him. After that day, Balerion never flew freely again. He became the first dragon housed in the Dragon Pit, the massive domed structure on Rhaenys' Hill built to hold dragons under guard. He remained there for nearly 40 years. In 93 AC, Prince Viserys claimed him and rode him over King's Landing. 3 circuits. That was all Balerion could manage before Viserys feared the dragon lacked the strength to reach Dragonstone. Balerion died in 94 AC. He had outlived Aerea by 38 years and never properly flown in any of them. The greatest dragon who ever lived ended his days in a pit. Whatever he had seen in Valyria, he did not recover from it. He simply endured it until he could not. He was the last creature alive that had known what Valyria had become, and he took that knowledge with him. What Aerea had known, she could no longer tell anyone, but there was still one account to recover. In her final hours, Aerea spoke. Barth sat beside her. He had watched the creatures emerge from her body, watched her flesh darken and crack, heard the sounds the things made as they died in the ice water. None of that was the worst of what he witnessed in that room. In his private papers, Barth wrote that he prayed he would soon forget some of the things she whispered. Barth chose not to record what she had said. A man who had just watched chimeric creatures burst from a dying child, and who had the presence of mind to document every physical detail of the experience, heard something from her lips and decided the world did not need to know it. He recorded the creatures in exhaustive detail, the sounds, the smell of them dying in the cold, his own theological crisis, asking whether monstrous evil gods existed against whose malice kings and gods of men are naught but flies. He wrote all of that. What Barth chose not to write exists now only in the absence he left behind. The official record says she died of a fever. Jaehaerys silenced Sir Lucamore. Grand Maester Benifer, also present, left no written account at all. Not one word from the other man in the room. Jaehaerys was 20 years old when Aerea died. He and Alysanne waited outside Benifer's door the entire day, not permitted to enter. They learned what had happened through Barth. Then Jaehaerys silenced every witness he could reach and told the world his niece had died of a fever. The political response followed. He decreed that any ship suspected of having visited the Valyrian Peninsula or the Smoking Sea was forbidden from docking at any port in the Seven Kingdoms, and any subject of the Iron Throne who went to Valyria would be executed upon return. That decree held for 300 years. It shapes the world of the main series. Daenerys Targaryen cannot simply sail to Valyria because of a decision a grieving 20-year-old king made watching a girl die in unspeakable horror in his own castle. Septon Barth wrote Dragons, Worms, and Wyverns, their unnatural history in the years that followed. He was appointed Hand of the King 1 year after Aerea's death and held the office for 41 years, the longest tenure of any hand in Targaryen history. He wrote that book because of what he witnessed in that room. King Baelor I ordered every copy burned. Some fragments survived. The answer, if Barth had found one, did not. That loss connects directly to the final unresolved question the text refuses to answer. Balerion died in 94 AC in the dragon pit of old age. He was the last living creature that had known Valyria before the Doom. Septon Barth wrote, "The things found in Aerea Targaryen live there still, and other horrors beside that we can't begin to imagine." Two facts remain unresolved, and Archmaester Gildine can't supply them. The twin swap was never investigated. The text does not say whether the girl who died in that room was even the one whose name was on record. We do not know whether it was Aerea at all, or whether Rhaella, who had traded places to enter the faith, had made one final trade that no one noticed. And what she whispered in those final hours. Barth chose silence on that one detail, and Grand Maester Benifer left nothing. We do not know whether Barth ever forgot what she said. He prayed to. A Maester who documented horrors with clinical precision, stopping only at one threshold, is itself the most unsettling record we have.